Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Matthew McConaughey. I've been taking a little bit of time from my most recent acting gig to hang out here with Mike. Now, Mike's alright guy. He's pretty good. Mike, what's today's date? See, he wants me to say it's June 12th, 2022. But it's really the 11th. You know, the thing is, we're filming this the day before, but Mike's going to talk to you about Transformers, the expensive masterpiece ones, the itty bitty legends. He's also gonna be talking to you about some mainline stuff you can get at the Walmart. Also, he's gonna talk to you about some stuff that I don't really like some GI Joe. They carry some realistic weapons. I kind of like those Nerf guns they were carrying. Those are pretty cool. So I don't really like talking about the GI Joe, but I do like talking about my abs. I showed Mike my abs, and he's like telling me. He said he's working on it. Mike, I gotta tell you something. You ain't working on squat, buddy, because you keep talking about ramen. There's no way you're going to get abs like this if you just keep eating ramen noodles every day. That's all them calories and that kind of stuff, Then get the 8-pack. He's going to be talking to you about some Masters of the Universe kind of stuff, I remember those toys back in the day that like 5-year-olds play with them Masters of the Universe, the He-Mans and that kind of stuff. That was pretty cool. These look more like for adults, to tell you the truth. But I got to tell you something, though. The thing about this is Mike keeps talking about Star Wars. You need to quit talking about Star Wars. Nobody watches Star Wars anymore. It's from the 70s. If you want a good show, a good accurate representation of the 70s, you need to watch Dazed and Confused. That's a good movie. I'm in that one. So anyway, Mike says he's got a lot of good stuff, a lot more stuff coming up. All right. Matthew McConaughey, thanks for that great intro. It was a lot of fun right there. But he did make fun of me earlier for spelling his name wrong. But anyways, getting into this Show Z. And we've got some good stuff there. Right now they have a sale on their Magic Square MSB46 Lite of Victory Optimus Prime version 2.0. And this thing is going to be $85 instead of the $105. So it seems to be pretty good. I haven't picked it up just yet, but everyone that has it likes it. We've also got the MP36 KO Infinite Transformation ITO1 Emperor of Destruction on sale for $85. So originally $110. You can still get an MP36 KO for a pretty good price. And speaking of KO, because I love KOs, this is the Yes model KO of the Make Toys Guardia, and it's the whole set for $170. So if you're into this, it's 15 inches tall, so it's not like big combiner, but it'll work for certain things. So if you're into this and into this scale, $170. Alright, so getting into some Masterpiece stuff, we've got X-Transmog, the MX22 Commander Stack Recolor. They call it the Youth version, and it's more of a toy version, a toy coloration, and it does look pretty good. This mold, you actually can see some a little bit different angles and what's going on with it, so I do think that this is going to be better than we got with Takara. Of course, it's more modern and update, and it looks great. Here's the alt mode, and it's pretty nice looking alt mode overall, so looks good, looks excellent, and now with this whole trend of making toy colored versions of Masterpiece, it's just another one that you can add to a toy colored shelf. Takara has pictures of their next Trainbot, the MPG-03 Yakes. I haven't heard it pronounced right yet anyway, so it's still interesting. This one does appear to look a little bit better than the other ones that have come out. It looks more like a robot in a way, but it's still, I don't think it's anywhere near as good as Moon Studio, but it is going to look good in a train mode. So here it is with the whole team so far, before they combine and in the bot modes, and so that's kind of how it's looking. So quite similar characteristics for most of these. It is what it is, but the concentration is on a good train mode and an okay combined mode. Here's the train, and that does look sleek. That looks ultimately perfect, like a model in a way. So it just shows where their focus was. Just an explanation of why the bots look the way they do and why the combined modes look the way it does. I actually do not think that the leg looks that bad, so I think it's a pretty clean looking leg overall. So that part does look pretty good, and I guess we'll see the full combined mode eventually. Once it's all done and all that kind of stuff. Would have been kind of cool to see that up front. We did see kind of the shadow of that. Here is a torso that's sort of assembled, and we've got the head on there, the chest piece, all that kind of stuff. So this is the Takara version of the Trainbots, and I guess we can roll into having a look at the Moon Studio because, well, that's pretty much done. Now, I don't think they're all released yet. I'm not really sure But this is what the full combined mode looks like, either a prototype or something along those lines. Looks really good. I really do feel like the Moon Studio is a clear winner here, even though I think the transformations are pretty darn complex, and it does look good in both modes, or all three modes. But to me, this is what matters the most. The combined mode, the Raiden, Raidan combined mode is the most important. Here's from the back, and it cleans up pretty well. So this really is a Zeta design, more or less, and it does have that clean Zeta look to it, and just works. So interesting how well it's going, and I think that everybody that got this is pretty happy with it so far. So we got the Like Toys update on their Metroplex, and the legs are in the works. They're getting the prototype together, and it looks good, actually, really good. This is kind of just showing you sort of the articulation that it's going to have. It's going to be very well articulated, and I'm guessing serious, strong ratchets on this thing. And then here it is. So they said it's going to be about 4 foot tall, but according to my math, if you look at that Omega Supreme, all of those are around the 2 foot mark. So this is at least another foot, if not more, taller than that. So we're looking at 3.2 feet tall or something like that. So with the rest of it, it seems like it's going to be more like a 5 foot tall figure, not 4 foot. So pretty interesting, though. I really think this is an outstanding project. Got some light up knees. It's got light up, I think so far like 5 things I've seen light up on this thing. I'm not 100% sure everything that's going to light up at the end, but I'm sure they're going to show that eventually when it's completely done. Don't be confused. They're further along than you think. They've got more parts that are going to be assembled soon. We got some interesting pictures of the YOLO Park Plamo Optimus Prime. This thing is 30 centimeters tall, or about 12 inches tall, and it's a model kit. You built it yourself. This is the inside before you have the outer stuff on, just to kind of show you the complexity of what's going on inside of this guy. So it's pretty interesting how that works. Here he is doing the Iron Man pose, the superhero pose, that kind of thing, and showing articulation. It's kind of the standard these days. Here he is next to, I think this is comparing it to a different version, and then we're going to see what he turns into when he puts his own armor on, because this thing is significantly taller than that other guy over there. And here he is with his armor on, or all finished up, more or less. And it does look pretty good for a Bumblebee version of Optimus Prime, and it's called Earth Mode Optimus Prime. And looks pretty good, and quite a bit of work, but I believe it to be quite satisfying for those who do it. Okay, so I'm not really sure the name of this, and I'm putting it in here more or less because it's third party in a way. It's the Heron. It's a Heron, Yuzon, something else along the lines there, but it's a highly articulated 7-inch version of Devastator, and it's very G1 tune accurate Devastator with articulation, all that kind of stuff, which for me, kind of thinking if this was blown up to about 2 foot tall, this would be something a lot of people would be on top of. Or if they made it in every scale, you know, think about it, you could make it in every scale and just blow it up and people would be all over something like this because it's tune accurate and articulated. They made something similar to this in the past, around a 17-inch tall one, and it looked pretty good. It sold out pretty fast, but this does look better than that one and is more articulation. So very tune accurate, just looks really good. It's going to look even better with some paint. This is a grayscale, it looks this good. So I'm interested in seeing more about this project in the future, having more information, pricing, availability, and all that kind of stuff. So real quick, I want to clear up some questions people keep having about the new MP57 Skyfire, Jetfire. It's not really Jetfire, it is Skyfire. But the thing about it is that it is about $270 at almost every place. Almost every place that I've seen that has it for sale is $270. Shows he doesn't have a price on it just yet, but I believe them to have a lower price once it comes in stock. It should be released sometime early of 2023, I think February 2023. And with that, yes, there are rumors that there's a KO coming for this, all this kind of stuff. Now, I do cover quite a bit of this in my Friday video, but I really appreciate a lot of the feedback, and it does seem like the vast majority of people like this design versus the Fans Toys version, but the Fans Toys version has its own good to it. One thing I really want to point out though is for $270, it's so much bigger, and there's so much more going on with it, in my opinion, than the Seekers, and so it's a much better value than the Seekers. You're spending another $20 or so versus the Starscream, and look how much more you get for your extra $20. So it's a bang for the buck on here. I'm not really sure why Takara has kind of regressed and fixed their pricing, making it a bit more reasonable, but I like it. I think that's a good way to go, a good direction to go for their company and for their customers and all that kind of stuff. So it's a win-win-win for everyone. So there's not a whole lot of Legends news this week, but New Age put out a couple more pictures, well, quite a few pictures of their toy version. I guess you could call this their youth version of their Grimlock, and it does look really good. This is a nice looking figure. They call it the H44EX M Weimer. Now, I did show pictures of this last week, but I am confused about a couple of things. If you look at his lower leg right there, the cover that they showed off last week for the standard one isn't included in this. They've had more time, so I'm not sure if they're going to include that with all of them or just the first one, or is that going to be on a go-forward basis? Will they just automatically include it? So I don't know, and I have kind of some questions about all of that. Here it is in the alt mode, of course, looking very, very good, and looks like you can change the eyes. That's kind of what it's showing right there, that you can go from blue to red, so that's cool too. And just overall, I like the deco of this, just everything about this. I do have this pre-ordered already, so I will be taking a look at it when it comes in. And then here we go with kind of a cool picture, and they have some background in there, but I'm wondering, does this mean they're going to do all the Dinobots? I assume they will. So we got some Golden Lagoon looking pictures of the Dr. Wu's super miniature blaster, and looks pretty cool. Looks like you'd expect with a golden color of a, what is this, like a 2-inch figure? So really small. This is what the alt mode looks like, and you know, when I see something like this, I think this alt mode could work for if you wanted to have a small blaster. The mass shifting into your masterpiece display, and somebody wants that blaster for whatever reason, you have them just in your display or hanging out or whatever. Of course, I probably wouldn't pick the Golden Lagoon for that. Pick a standard one. They're also making a Golden Prime trailer and a Golden Wheelie. So pretty cool stuff that they're making right there. I mean, for whatever reason, I thought they already showed that, but they're making, of course, that and a standard one and all that kind of stuff. So really small. I don't know if I've got the time or effort to put into a fourth collection of super micro ones, but people seem to love these and have fun with them, and the smaller the better, I guess. So no sooner do we start seeing some reviews pop up of these Ultimates figures coming from Super 7, but we are getting some more, like I guess another wave of these guys. Getting a Starscream, a dead or almost dead Optimus Prime, and then a Soundwave, which all are great. We already saw the Ghost Starscream, that thing came out already, and then we've seen a Standard Prime, so this is 2 repaints in here, and Soundwave looks interesting. So I've got mixed feelings and emotions about these, but I do have a Standard Prime in my loot at BBTS. Eventually I'll get it, have a look at it, but I do feel like this is red, maybe a little better than red, and some people feel like it's not as good as red, so it's just one of those things that as an action figure, it should look perfect as an action figure, so it doesn't have to transform, which is kind of what these third-party companies are overcoming by having it transform and still look great. Here's the Prime, and you get the Matrix, a bunch of hands and a gun, so it doesn't really seem like you're getting a whole lot out of this guy for the $55 price point, but it's something different. So if you want it, then you can be all over it. I think you get even more with the Soundwave. This seems like you get a lot like you would expect. It looks like you get a little mini version of Soundwave. He's already transformed, which these should all come with some sort of a alt mode if they can work it in. It makes sense for this one. Probably not an Optimus Prime cab. That probably doesn't make sense, but anyhow, multiple different heads on there, which is cool, and then all these different hands. If that's overkill, I think it's a little bit overkill. Of course, you got the shoulder cannon, a gun, and then you get the laser beak and all that kind of stuff. So a buzzsaw? Nope, that's laser beak, right? And Starscream, which looks interesting. Got a Megatron gun, obligatory. You've got a sniper rifle. You got a toy head. I think they're all coming with a toy head, right? And then you got different expressions, and of course his ion cannons and whatever this grabby thing is. I'm sure it's from an episode I can't think of right now. And then extra hands, but not too much. So I already did talk about this in a G.I. Joe standalone video, but I'm going to talk about this character again. This is the crossover. Now it's $70, and it's pretty much all the fan channels online right now that you can buy this. And this is Bumblebee turning into the AWE Striker, and you also get a Stalker made pretty much like a vintage Stalker. So there's some cool stuff to it, but overall this should not have been Bumblebee. I mean, there's arguments for him to be a Hound, which makes a little bit of sense there. There's also arguments for a G2 Beachcomber. All that makes sense. Makes no sense at all to put Bumblebee in there, but they did it anyway. $70. Here's the alt mode, and it looks pretty cool. I think that this appears to even be more solid in the alt mode. Now, it's just appearances than a standard AWE Striker. So the AWE Striker feels so flimsy in hand, but this looks less flimsy. I mean, I might be completely wrong. When people get it in hand, they'll be like, "Oh, this thing's real flimsy." Who knows? But it looks solid, more solid to me, which is kind of cool. But now there's a lot of questions of what's going to be next and who's going to turn into what and all that. And it's so random that I don't think anybody could guess because it doesn't really make any sense. All right, so we got pictures of the Transformers Legacy Deluxe IDW blur in-hand images from the Chefatron over there on YouTube. So this is interesting that, first off, I wasn't really sure that this thing was already a thing, but I think the mold for the standard blur is pretty cool, and the Shattered Glass one that they were putting out on fan channels turned out to be pretty interesting too. So this one here seems a little bit less interesting, but still different, and vastly different than either of the other ones. Here's the alt modes, and so definitely they went a whole different route on this. So again, way different. So kind of cool in a way, and it sort of makes you wonder, is there a way that down the road they can make a standard blaster a little better using some of the ideas that they're coming up along the way? It's a possibility. Because I'd like to see that standard blur mold and have it come back out, but not have the giant under forearm problem. So we got pictures of this Transformers Legacy Wreck and Roll Collection Master Dominus and another Chef. Looks like a lot of stuff's being unofficially announced or shown off before it's officially shown off. But so here it is, and it's interesting if this is what you're in on. I do like that there's more color to this than what we've seen with these kind of figures in the past, so that is pretty cool. Here it is in the alt mode, and just it's interesting when you see kind of the red on the inside underneath the ribcage, and then the yellow for the spine and all that kind of stuff. So very different than I was kind of expecting. So anyway, it's still kind of cool if this is something you're in on. So we've got a $56 Studio Series Optimus Prime for the new Rise of the Beast. So this is Optimus Prime, Optimus Primal, whatever. And the interesting thing is, this thing is made to look huge. It's not going to be that huge, but I wonder if you get a little minifigure. That'd be interesting. But it's still, that's what it's going to look like, I guess, from the new movie. And so I guess we're going to be seeing some hype for the new movie coming. And hopefully the toy line supports it and they can coincide all that with the way things are going on these days. It seems like a movie's out, but the stuff isn't. So you can't buy it right out of the movie. Let's hope they can match that stuff, align that stuff. So it looks like we've got a transforming Optimus Primal head, which is really interesting. That's kind of strange. Something that I've never seen done before. But again, you know, everything is new until it's been done, and it's not new anymore. But a transforming mask for Optimus. Here is the bot mode. You can turn your mask into a bot, play with it, and then put it on your face. So that's interesting. You know what? We kind of lose sight of toys are for kids, and this is something fun a kid would enjoy. I really think. I think a kid would enjoy this. Very interesting, clever, creative, could be fun. The only thing to make it more fun is if you had some electronics in there, but then that would make the price through the roof. So there's a bunch of RC news this week. Now this is an RC that it's kind of like an evergreen kind of deal. In my opinion, they call it the Authentics Bravo, and it's very simplistic, but for it being a simplistic and cheap kind of 5-inch figure, it's cool. I think it's pretty decent for what it is. This isn't rivaling the stuff that's going to be Studio Series and all that kind of stuff, but it's still better than what they've done for this line in the past. Okay, so we've got more Studio Series pictures of RC. Yes, RC. But I want to kind of point out a couple of things here. First off, this is just the bot mode. The center one is the Studio Series one. On the left is the one we got with Earthrise and all that kind of stuff. And then on the right is the 30th anniversary, which it's actually it's the 30th anniversary Japanese version. It's not the US version, because you can tell because it has the gray in the center area, not the black and the joints, all that kind of stuff. But still, design-wise, is kind of how it compares up. I do think 30th anniversary still wins, except it does look pretty promising in alt mode. Since they did base the entire figure for Studio Series off of the 30th anniversary, which is what I just kind of recently learned, then they tweaked it quite a bit, and now there's the alt mode. That could be a contender for the best alt mode in the main line, so it does look pretty solid, does look pretty good. So kind of fun right there, and I probably will pick this up, mostly for the alt mode, which I don't usually do. All right, I've got more pictures from Hasbro. These are official pictures now, and I think we've seen pretty much most of this stuff, but here is Alita 1, and she does look pretty good. She's what we expect. We've seen it before. There's the packaging, and it's the open window and all that kind of stuff, so kind of sticking with all that. Here it is in the alt mode, and again, we've seen all this before. Nothing really new, but it does look like pretty good colors. Those colors are pretty solid, pretty strong. Nice contrast there. And then we got this knockout, which is pretty good. It looks pretty good. I don't think it truly 100% matches the original character. They're just kind of reusing molds to reuse molds and put a figure with a name. But it's sort of kind of, in my mind, the same thing they did with Bulkhead. So that's fine, I guess. Here it is, the alt mode. And I think the alt mode looks pretty cool. It looks cool and familiar. And it gets the job done, I guess. Here we go with Tarantulas. And this is a pretty cool looking figure. I think there's some reuse to this in here too also, but I do think it looks really good. In fact, it looks so good I don't really see the reuse, although I've heard it's got reused parts. But anyway, I think it does look great, and people are looking forward to this. And Beast Wars collectors are they're kind of in their zone right now. They're getting quite a bit. Here's the alt mode, and alt mode looks fantastic. So definitely an interesting looking figure. Like the color scheme, and it does work. Here we go with the Wild Rider, and I really do think this whole Minosaur set is a very redeeming moment for Hasbro. Every one of the figures seem to look pretty decent, and of course the Motormaster, and then of course how it combines and builds up. It is a redeeming moment for Hasbro. So here's the alt mode. The alt mode looks pretty good too. So overall, I have a lot of good things to say about, except the price. I mean, I don't like the $80 Commander Class one, and each of these costing $23 plus tax. So if there's ways to get deals and sales and stuff, you know, that would help with this set. Speaking of deals and sales, it's pretty cool because coinciding with this Jurassic World release of the movie, there's a discount on this set pretty much everywhere. If you BBTS had a sale on it, GameStop's got it for like $63 instead of $105. $105 is way too steep for this. $63 is right on point. I still didn't pick it up, but I think it's a cool looking set. So if you are in on this set, then you might want to check the GameStops, the BBTS, and Entertainment Earths, or any place that has this set. And some of those were one-day deals on Friday, but still check it out. Speaking of movies, Rise of the Beast is going to be coming out pretty soon. And here's the thing, this is supposed to be the picture of the Bumblebee in that movie, so pretty interesting right there. I don't think Bumblebee really looks a whole lot different. It looks pretty much what I'd expect out of a Bumblebee movie, in the next movie. So there it is. Okay, so in other news, Ramen Toy is about to take pre-orders this upcoming week for this guy here. Now, this is their 80s Commanders Retro Series, full size. This is going to be a John Thunder, but of course they named it something else. But this is going to be a full vintage scale action figure. Works with the original figures. This is an unproduced figure, but it's their take on it. The weapon system's pretty close to what the prototype looked like, and it's going to function. I'm about to show you the function of this. So this is how it works. It kind of spins around and rolls around. It's pretty good. They've done a pretty good job with this, I think, and they're still working on it, working the kinks out. It kind of hangs up a little bit here and there, and they're still working on the prototype stage. He can also stand up. You can stand him up on there, but it's a full size, works with your vintage figures. They're using plastic. I guess the fan uproar we made worked. So anyway, what do you guys think about this week's weekly news interview? Anything cool out there that I missed? What else is going on in the world? Because I like to know. I like to stay on top of this stuff myself. There's a lot to keep up with this day and age. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts. Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe. Try to hear out.